Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Thank you. Good morning to you on this Monday. Sometimes I am surprised, not often, but sometimes I am surprised. Last week, my son says to me, "Hey, Pops, do you know the person who I was a TA for when in high school and doing the AP stuff?" I said, "Yeah, Tracy Walder." He said, "Yeah, well, she was a spy." I said, "Huh?" He said, "Yeah. She was in the CIA and the FBI, and she has a new book out, The Unexpected Spy," which I promptly went out and got. And Tracy Walder joins me this morning because I don't know many high school teachers who have previously been CIA counterterrorism operators and FBI agents. Hi, Tracy. Good morning. Great to have you.
Hi, Hugh. How are you? Thank you for having me. And I enjoyed that song right at the beginning, too.
Well, it's in your book. That's why I played it.
Yes, I know. I appreciate it.
Well, there's lots in your book. Normally, I tease USC people about their band not having trumpets, but I don't want to be like Jerry in your book who gets you mad at him. I've learned not to fight with DGs from USC or Tridelts. That is, though, you are the most unexpected spy I've ever spoken with, and I've known a lot of spies.
Well, yes, that's not surprising. Most people are very surprised when they learn about my past.
So did people in Orange County know that when you were doing your teaching at Chapman, your student teaching in Orange County, or did anyone know your very colorful background?
So, yes, actually, the folks at the high school knew my background because they have to verify it. And usually it can be really difficult because what happens is they want to speak to, someone, my boss, but I'm sure you know that's not how it works with the CIA.
No.
You fax a request to a number, and then they, fax back that I worked there, how long I worked there for, and kind of what GS grade I was when I left. So the high school knew, and then I became a TA actually doing research at Chapman University when I was getting my master's. And that was a bigger problem. They wanted verification from my congressman as well. They just really couldn't understand why they couldn't pick up the phone and talk to someone.
Well, I've been
about
explaining
what
to
I used to
people, I've been telling people The Unexpected Spy, which is Tracy Walder's new book, is going to be to people who want to join the CIA or the FBI what 1L became to people who wanted to join Harvard Law School. A little bit of a lifting of the curtain on the mystique of getting into Langley or getting into Quantico and what it's like to survive. Has other people told you about that comparison?
No, I've never heard that before, but I think that's a really fair comparison. I do lift the veil to the extent that the Publications Review Board allowed me to, and I think I sort of really lift the veil on the FBI a bit more.
Oh my goodness, yes. I had a completely different view of Quantico, and I've had friends go both through the farm and through Quantico, and I've had family members in both. I got to ask you about the bathtub shower question, though.
Oh, yes.
I'm surprised they let you put the bathtub shower question in the book because that's going to give it away.
I was really surprised as well, but I did send my book through the PRB. Certain things I was really surprised they took out, and other things I was surprised that they left in. For example, that specific question, which I had to take when I came to DC for sort of the larger part of my interview, was, do you prefer a bath to a shower? Which I'm sure you can dissect that question many different ways. I prefer a shower. I'm not someone that likes baths. I think it takes too long, and I put down shower, but we sort of talk about them afterwards, what was the right one. And, some people put bath down, some people put shower. I think shower was probably the right one because it shows that you're sort of more flexible. But who knows? I mean, what that shows me about the questions is they probably changed since I've gone through. So they probably didn't care much about leaving that in.
What I liked about your analysis is that the analyst side might like the bath to sit in it, and the shower operative side might want it. But I thought generally it's just a lot of inside dope. Let me ask you more, branch out a little bit and talk about why you left the CIA when you're at the top of your game and on a track that's very hard, and went to Quantico. Why make that choice? You explained that you did it, but how long did it take you to get to it?
I'd say to finally get to it, it took probably 6 months or so. For me, I left the CIA. You're right. I left there very positively, which I think a lot of people seem surprised. They think that maybe I was fired or disciplined and kind of left under bad circumstances, and I did not. But for me, at the ripe old age of 26, I was so old and wise. I decided that I needed a little bit more stability in my life. I worked at the CIA before 9/11, during 9/11, and after 9/11, and the pace was really frenetic. And I was traveling everywhere overseas, and I loved it. But I think I had become I guess burned out is maybe the quickest description of that. I really loved the counterterrorism mission. I felt really passionately about it. And I thought, with the FBI, I could work stateside, perhaps be in sort of one large office for the majority of my career. And that would be, it would make sense. It would be a very smooth switch. And so that's why I left.
I also thought your investigation of Mach, which you describe in some detail. Did you work with Deidre Elliott on that, by the way?
I did not.
Okay, she's another
Gaylord.
AUSA who prosecutes PRC counterintelligence, which is a lot. She and George are both in the game. There is a lot more PRC aggressive activities in the United States than people have any idea. Would you agree?
I agree. I 100% agree. And it's one of the things that, when people ask me what I find to be some of the larger threats to the U.S. right now, I view that as either, number one or number two. For some reason, it's really not covered that much in the media, and it's really not discussed that much, sort of the economic damage and the national security damage that this is doing to us.
Do you think that there is any chance that the Chinese are being transparent with us, Tracy Walder, about the coronavirus? Any chance at all?
What do you mean in terms of being transparent? In terms of being transparent in how it started, or how many cases they have?
Both, and whether or not they'll let our people go in and sequence the genome, and whether they'll let our people go in and do epidemiology.
So, I think in terms of the origin of it, I do believe that it probably originated in, sort of a meat market situation. However, I do not believe that they're being transparent in the least, just like I don't believe Iran's being transparent either. In terms of the amount of deaths, how it's spreading, what they're doing to contain it, I 100% do not believe that they're being transparent. And I really, I'm sorry to be sort of doom and gloom, but I don't feel that they would let us in to go in there and look at the gene and do the sequencing. I just don't think that they're going to be that transparent.
No, I agree with you.
They should be, but I just don't see that.
Now, let's go back to talking about the unexpected spy. One of the things I want people to take away from this, especially younger listeners, is that when they fill out a job application at a job fair on a school quad, it might actually lead to the phone ringing, and you've got to have your roommate ready to answer the phone and not say, oh, my gosh, it's some frat boy trying to trick you into a date.
Yes, that is a good moral of the story. I mean, you have to remember this was, 1998, 1999? Yes. In pop culture, like a lot of the kids have today, CIA is really present, right? Back at that time, we had none of that. I mean, even James Bond was on a little hiatus until the early 2000s. So I think, when you hear that a CIA recruiter has called, it's quite alarming.
It is kind of alarming, but it's a very interesting way to take recruitment seriously. Now I want to talk about Quantico. Lawyer, accountant, police officer, lawyer, accountant, police officer, park service, Amelia, lawyer, accountant, former professional football player, lawyer, accountant, police officer, lawyer, and a CIA agent. It does seem like the Bureau is monochromatic.
Well, at that time, yes, it's hard to say. Obviously, I haven't worked there in a bit. But back at that time, yes, it was very monochromatic and very much one specific type of person, which I think is a little dangerous.
Very dangerous. And it also was very misogynistic. And I would assume that after Me Too, that's changed. Do you assume that, Tracy Walder?
So I actually do not. I know for a fact, strangely, that it has not. I know right now there's a case winding its way through the courts, through the EEO, with 17 women out of Quantico who are suing for gender discrimination at the academy, and that's making its way through right now. So you would have hoped, I agree with you, Hugh, that things would have changed. And I think I briefly had thought that perhaps they had, but it sounds to me like they've had been. In fact, they've probably gotten a little bit worse.
Let me conclude this by asking again. The book is The Unexpected Spy. Tracy Walder is the author. From the CIA to the FBI, My Secret Life, taking down some of the world's most notorious terrorists. She's a Trojan. And even though I know, oh gosh, even though they don't have trumpets in the band, we still let them on occasionally. Do you think we're winning? Are we winning the war on terror?
No. That's the short answer to that question. No.
Expand.
Too many emerging threats. So there's too many emerging threats that I don't believe that we're paying attention to. I don't believe that failed states are sort of getting the attention that they need. And I think terrorism obviously flourishes there. I think we've got some issues that we need to look at here in the United States. I think bioterrorism is something that we don't pay attention to. And I think, cyber terrorism is something that is probably not understood and not staffed enough.
Why, when we've poured so much effort and time into Afghanistan, what do you think? I don't know that you've been in Afghanistan. You've either been in Yemen or Afghanistan. The way I read this book, you don't declare where you were, but you were either in Yemen or Afghanistan. You can't. Do you think of the Taliban peace accord that was signed in Doha over the weekend? What do you make of it?
Oh, gosh. I personally do not think it's going to hold. I think it's obviously a great step in the right direction. I'm not, against something like that, but I think I'm very wary of the situation. This is a war that we've been fighting for a really long time, and we've been engaged with the Taliban for a really long time. And I think, in my opinion, I think what we're going to see is, terrorists kind of went into Iraq during the Iraq War, and now I think they're going to come back into Afghanistan. But that's just my hypothesis.
Well, your hypothesis has a lot to back it up. I found The Unexpected Spy great reading. And if you ever want to know what it's like to interrogate a terrorist with an orange, you want to read Tracy Walder's new book. By the way, are you showing up on TV as a commentator? There aren't a lot of CIA, FBI veterans who are young, blonde, and from USC and are DGs and teaching high school. Are you showing up on TV?
So I was on Good Morning America, and I was on Fox and Friends, and both were wonderful experiences. But you're absolutely right. There seems to not be this interest in females becoming commentators, and it's something that I would love to do. But yes, you're right. I see a lot of males, which is great. We need the male perspective, but I think we also need the female perspective.
Well, and there just aren't that many people who've done the CIA, the FBI, and taught high school. So Tracy Walder,
Yes.
Come back and talk to me again. The Unexpected Spy in bookstores now. Congratulations. Thanks for serving the country. I really mean that. Thank you for going through. It is not easy to do either the farm or Quantico, much less both, and to somehow carry that USC burden with you. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Hugh.
Honor bound.